In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at a more difficult type of factoring by grouping problem. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so in this particular problem, you will notice that the coefficient of x squared is no longer 1, it is a 2. So this only causes a couple different problems. Sometimes it makes the factors that you have to look for a little bit more tedious, but the process that you saw in my first example is still the exact same. So we still want to do our A times C business. So let's go ahead back in our original problem and label A, B, and C. So A is going to be the 2, B is going to be the positive 5, and C is going to be a positive 2. So over here I'm going to do my 2 times 2. That's going to give me 4. So now we have to list all the factors of 4. So I do have 2 and 2, and then I have 1 and 4. And what this is supposed to do, one of these pairs should give me a sum or difference of my B term, which in this case is 5. And the only option I've got there is going to be this 1 and 4. And my B says that this 5 is positive 5. So it looks like that's going to have to be a positive 1 and a positive 4. So now we're going to rewrite our problem. We're going to bring down the A term, so 2x squared, and we're going to bring down the C term, plus 2, and then we're going to fill in the rest with the new factors that I found to give me 5x. So now we are going to rewrite it, and we're going to go ahead and group everything. So I'm going to group the first two terms together, so 2x squared plus 1x, and then I'm going to use a plus sign. Always use the plus sign in this step here so that things don't get too crazy, and then 4x plus 2. Okay, so it looks like in the first group, 2x squared plus 1x, that there's an x in common, and that's it. So we're going to start with that, and then we're going to have a 2x go here because x times 2x gives me 2x squared. And then over here I'm going to have a plus 1 because x times 1 gives me 1x. Alright, and here I can keep the plus sign because this coefficient of x is positive, so I don't have to worry about any of that negative stuff. So 4x and 2, they have a 2 in common, and that's it. So 2 times 2x will give me 4x, and 2 times a positive 1 will give me my positive 2. So once again, you should see I do have a binomial that's identical, so that's going to be one of my answers. So 2x plus 1, and then whatever is left over gives me my second binomial, which is x plus 2. So this would be my final answer. Let's take a look at another one, but one with more factors than just 2 pairs of factors, because sometimes these can get kind of crazy. So let's take a look at one more. Alright, so here's our third example. So we're going to run through this pretty quickly since at this point in time we know what our process needs to be. So I have to do A times C. Remember that this is A, this is B, this is C. So we're going to do 15 times 3 here, which is going to give me 45. So I'm going to have 15 times 3. I also have 1 times 45, and I have 9 times 5, and I'm trying to think of anything else I might have here. I think that's it. So we do have more than just 2 pairs this time, we have 3, but we still have to look for the pair that's going to give us a sum or difference of 14. So 15 and 3, that's definitely out. 1 and 45, no way that's going to get me to 14. So hopefully we can do something with 9 and 5 to get me to equal 14. And we are actually looking for a negative 14 here. So I'm thinking we're going to have a negative 9 and a negative 5 together. And sure enough, negative 9 minus 5 is negative 14. So we're good to roll here. So I'm going to bring down my A term, 15x squared, and plus 3 out at the end. I'm going to rewrite negative 14x as negative 9x minus 5x. And now we're going to rewrite and group. So here is my first group. I'm going to write my plus sign, and then I'm going to write negative 5x plus 3. Okay. So between 15x squared and 9x, I find that they have both a 3 in common and an x in common. So 3 times 5 is going to give me that 15, and then x times x is going to give me the x squared. And for the next one, 3 times negative 3 is going to give me the negative 9, and then the x is already taken care of on the outside of the parentheses. So the first group is done. The second group, once again, has that negative number as a coefficient of x, so we have to take something negative out. And there is nothing common between 5 and 3 that I can think of except for negative 1. So let's keep him out, and we're just going to take the negatives out of everything. So negative 1 times 5x will give me negative 5x. And then negative 1 times a negative 3 will give me a positive 3. So once again, check to see if you have two identical binomials, and sure enough I do. So that's going to be one of my answers, and whatever is left over is going to be my second binomial, so 3x minus 1. And there we go. So we've seen a few different examples, and that's going to conclude this tutorial.